Greetings everybody. So today we are going to discuss about excretion and planaria. So when it comes to planaria, it is an organism which belongs to the phylum Platyhelminths, and that basically is having its excretory organ as protonephridia. Proto means first, nephridia refers to the word excretory organ. So on the other hand side, protonephridia is a primitive form of the nephridia, primitive form of the excretory system, which was first um, evolutionized in the planaria. So the excretory system was first evolutionized in the platyhelminths. Before that, the phylum Cnidaria as well as phylum Porifera were not having any sort of excretory system. But it was the first organism which is having the excretory system. When it comes to its structures, the structure of the excretory system is in such a manner that where is it? Protonephridia basically is it is basically made up of some blindly ending tubules. As we know that within the body of planaria, what we are having are blindly ending tubules, which are also known as ramifications, which are known as ramifications. And these blindly ending tubules, ramifications, um, are where where the food material is then diffused passively from one cell to another cell in order to provide nutrition. Alongside those, in the blindly ending tubules, what we are having, alongside the ramifications, alongside these blindly ending tubules, ramifications and diverticules. Diverticules are the larger tubules which further divide into ramifications. So, so these tubules are also having some other sort of blindly ending tubules, which are basically known as the which basically contain special types of cells. There are some blindly ending tubules which contain some special types of cells, which are known as the flame cells. These flame cells are known as protonephridia. Why do we call them flame cells? Because these cells are actually having their structure in such a manner that over these flame cells there is a tuft of cilia. Over these flame cells we are having a tuft of cilia, and that tuft of cilia causes to move when the excretory material, which is selectively secreted into those blindly ending tubules. When the excretory material is selectively secreted within those blindly ending tubules, which are known as diverticulums or the ramifications, these excretory products are then carried out by the movement of the cilia which is present over the flame cells. The movement of the cilia on the flame cells occurs as if there is a flickering flame, as if there is a flame burning, due to which this these cells are named as flame cells due to the flickering movement of the cilia. Now, um, what actually does is that when the tubules are having the excretory material which is secreted into the blindly ending tubules upon which is secreted into the blindly ending tubules upon the secretion of the excretory product from the cells into the blindly ending tubules, the flame cells cause a flickering movement of the cilia, as a result of which it causes the excretory product to be transferred excretory product due to which it causes the excretory product to be transferred to the specific pore or an internal pore of the seal. These transfer of the flame cell, the movement of the flame cell causes the excretory products to be transferred to through an external pore of the external pore of the planaria, an external pore of the planaria which is present in planaria's body. Of course, it's difficult to draw the structure since it's all virtual. So I'm just trying to draw an imaginary structure over here. This and that blindly ending tubules are closed from one end, and on the other hand, there is a pore which is known as a slit-like opening is present, which is known as nephridiopore. That nephridiopore is from where the excretory organs, the excretory products by the slight movement, the excretory products by the flickering movement of the cilia of the flame cells are then transferred from those tubules towards the outer side, which is known as the nephridiopore, and from the nephridiopore into the outer environment. This is basically what we call as the basic structure of basic phenomena of excretion in planaria, which is quite simple, relatively simple as compared to the higher organisms. On the other hand side, if we talk about excretion in earthworm, excretion in earthworm is basically done by excretion in earthworm is done by another sort of excretory organ known as nephridium. Nephridium, or it is known as metanephridium. Metanephridium means a change in nephridium, an advanced version of the nephridia is there, so which is known as metanephridium, or simple words nephridium. It is basically in Lumbricus terrestris. There are many species of earthworm. There's Lumbricus terrestris, there's Ferritima postuma. This one is in Lumbricus terrestris. So, Lumbricus terrestris. Alright. What actually happens is that the nephridium has got a structure in such a manner that it has got a pair of a pair of metanephridium in each of its segments, as we know that they are internally and externally segmented. So as they are internally and externally segmented, each segment is having a pair of metanephridium, which is basically having the outermost structure, which is known as nephrostome or nephridiostome. That nephridiostome is surrounded by a bunch of capillaries. It is surrounded by a bunch of capillaries, as well as it is in contact with the coelomic fluid. It is in contact with the coelomic fluid and is surrounded by a bunch of capillaries. Bunch of capillaries the sake of are for the sake of transporting nutrients to the cell of the nephridiostome, while the filtrate which is actually formed by the process of filtration actually occurs through coelomic fluid. Such that the coelomic fluid is filtrated by the reabsorption by the selective reabsorption of the excretive products such as the urea, and at that moment the products which are absorbed over here, the products are absorbed and passed through the nephridiostome into the tubular system. Now what actually happens in tubular system, that's from the nephridiostome, the the filtrate which is filtered out by the filtration of which is formed by the filtration of the excretive products from the coelomic fluid is then transferred from the tubule system through the entire process of these tubules from the entire through these coiled tubules, highly coiled tubules, such that these highly coiled tubules are surrounded by a bunch of capillaries which cause to actively reabsorb all of the excretive products within the within the nephridia and from the filtrate. As a result of which, the excretive products, the important materials which such as glucose, amino acid, and other such materials are absorbed actively into the bunch of capillaries, while the are actively absorbed in the bunch of capillaries, while the rest of the material which is formed at the end of the tubular system is what we call as the rest of the material at the end of the tubular system is what we call as the final excretive product. Now the final excretive product is then sent via the bladder through the external opening which is known as the nephridiopore, and from the nephridiopore it is then excreted out from the body, then excreted out from that particular segment through the nephridiopore. And one more thing that I wanted to highlight over here is that the nephridium is formed by the splitting of mesoderm. So what actually happens is that the nephridiopore causes to release all of its secretion into the meta all it secretes all of this secretion in the mesoderm. It causes all of its secretion to be transferred into the mesoderm, from where it is then transported which is from where it is excreted out into the external atmosphere. This is all about it. And the third one is cockroach. Excretion in cockroach occurs in such a manner that cockroach is the only organism, not cockroach, but all of the insects are the only organisms which are having insects are the only organisms which are having insects are the only organisms which are having the digestive system connected to their excretory system, such that what actually happens is that in cockroach, let's say there are four major parts, the three major parts, sorry, which include foregut, midgut, and hindgut. And the foregut is a part where the salivary gland, salivary reservoir, and esophagus is located. Midgut is a part where we have the corp and gizzard, and hindgut is a part where we have the mesenteron and ileum, colon, and rectum. So, what actually happens is that when the food comes from when the food comes from the hepatic CK to the mesenteron or midgut, and from the mesenteron it passes uh, through a region which is known as ileum. That ileum is surrounded by a bunch of tubules which is known as the Malpighian tubules. What actually Malpighian tubules does is that the Malpighian tubules are surrounded with the hemolymph, and these Malpighian tubules what actually do is cause to actively and selectively reabsorb the excretory products and actively filter out the excretory products such as uric acid from the hemolymph, and cause to send them towards the ileum. From the Malpighian tubules, these are sent towards the ileum, and from the ileum, these are then excreted out. These excretory products which are sent via the these excretory products which are sent via the Malpighian tubules into the ileum are then mixed up with the feces or the undigested particles, and then are transferred from the colon into the rectum where it is stored for some time, and from where it is then transported into the outside body. So this is how the excretion occurs in cockroach. So these are the three major excretion which were quite relatively simple, and when it comes to urinary system of man, we are going to discuss it in the next video.